that's a tremendous looking trophy.
Welcome to the #1 PlayStation podcast in the Oceanias. Today, me, your host, Dylan Blight, is joined by Ciaran Martin.
Hi, I'm back. Dylan, let me back on the show, everybody.
With a slap across the ass.
Oh, yeah.
Down, boy. No more Xbox talk. No more.
I barely spoke about any Xbox talk on this show.
No, but it's a good bit. It's a good bit when you run a PlayStation show. It's a good bit.
Yeah.
Also joining us, Ashley Hobley.
Yes, I'm also joining you.
You was in that shit episode.
Ashley, like, motivated
Actually,
me.
you let him do that.
You motivated me, Ashley. You were like, Ciaran, you should.
Don't know if
do
motivated's
some
the right
Xbox
word.
stuff. You were like, do some Xbox stuff, man. It'll really get under Dylan's skin, and he'll never get the sniffles ever again.
Well, I was sick in bed listening to the episode.
Let me think, right? You were bitching. I didn't have the sniffles. I was dying. And all I got told was you had the sniffles. That's what you said in chat.
Yeah, that's what you wrote in the Slack.
You literally wrote sniffles. Who the fuck says sniffles if it's a serious illness?
It's not serious as illness. It's a cold.
Yeah, but sniffles is different to a cold.
If I had the sniffles,
I thought you had the sniffles and you didn't want to record because you didn't want to like sniff every couple of seconds on the mic.
I've done that before and I edited it out, but that wasn't fun. I did do it once. I edited it out every time I sniffed.
Okay.
Did you write time codes out for yourself or anything, or did you just have to listen?
Yeah,
to
no,
it?
I wrote them down. I had a piece of my phone or something in front of me, and every time I sniffed, I just wrote down the time codes.
My goodness.
Got to put in the hardcore work if you want to be a hardcore podcast host. Today on the podcast agenda is good old PlayStation talk. Is all I'm going to say. You know, we're gonna talk about
PlayStation.
I know that
some
thing.
PlayStation. You know that thing. Let's talk about God of War then. And I do have like a specific thing, not like let's talk about the game that's out yet, because we're living in a world where we're recording on Monday. And I'm finding it hard, you know. Like I was playing Adventure Pals last night, and the whole time I was staring at my XMB, going, "Fuck." Just really wish I could be playing God of War.
Yep.
know?
Yep.
That's the annoying thing with, and we've already bitched on stream about, you know, putting embargoes a week before the actual game release, but there was that many people treating it as if they already had the game, and that, you know, I saw a Kotaku article that was like, "What are you playing this weekend?" And it was a God of War picture on the article, and I'm like, no,
Just a troll.
I'm not playing God of War. That's next weekend, you total spuds.
Yeah. Out on a weird day as well, Friday.
Yeah.
So, and the reviews come out just in time for you to mull over the weekend on all your free time and go, "Oh, that's cool. Can't wait until next
Budget.
weekend."
Give you enough time to budget so you can.
Budgeting.
Yeah.
You're funny, Ash. You're funny. You're a funny
Yeah.
guy.
I know.
I know your budgeting's as bad as mine. So
Yep.
you funny.
Yep.
Money.
All those doubloons
What
you
is
keep.
it good for? Absolutely everything, but I spend it all too fast. All right, so my number one takeaway though from the whole God of War thing that I found interesting was I think it was the biggest fanboyish reaction shitstorm I've seen on Twitter for quite some time, because I thought we'd reached a stage where the fanboy wars were actually over. Like, I barely ever saw people doing the whole Xbox versus PlayStation thing anymore. Barely ever saw... The most I ever saw was, like, PC fanboys going crazy still. Honestly,
Yeah.
that is the biggest one I saw. And I thought the console fanboy shit was basically non-existent.
Even
And
stuff
then
with like Phil tweeting at Sony or whoever, or I think you tweeted at Shuhei once. He's like, "Hey, great job with the game."
But God of War reviews come out, and in case you've been living on a fucking rock, it gets 9s, it gets 10s. I saw one place give it a 6, and I was like, hold on to your butt. Like, you're about to get shitstormed. But I didn't come back to see if their website's still running or not. But it's been getting 9s and 10s for the most place. Even GameSpot gives it a 9 and gets in trouble, which was really, that was an interesting thing to watch. Gave it a 9. There was no negatives in your end of score. That's why I hate doing those things. I used to do them in my reviews back when I wrote on my website because I copied IGN, you know, like the pluses and negatives. Because GameSpot does their review. They give it 9 out of 10, but they give it nothing but pluses. So everyone goes, well, it doesn't have a negative, so it's a 10.
No,
That's not how it
doesn't
works.
it doesn't need a negative. It just needs, it's just not quite at that caliber. I feel like there's always this argument about are 10s given out too freely. Like, should 10s be saved for more, for larger accolades of work? Being like, to say congratulations to somebody instead of, this new exclusive game's coming out, better give it a 10. Let's give it a 10.
To me, there's several factors. Each website has their own descriptions and reasons for their certain scores and their scoring system. And so that's why Metacritic and Rotten Tomatoes and et cetera, they're kind of cool in a nutshell to have an overall percentage rating if you want a quick glance as to if something's doing well or not. But you're taking a whole bunch of scores that on various different websites mean various different things, and then you're boiling it down, everyone's words, paragraphs, thoughts, hours of time, writing into this number and then into this percentage, and then everyone goes, well, it's got a 94. It's got 95. That's how everyone talks about it. A lot of people don't even read the reviews or read the pluses or negatives on a lot of these things. Let alone the fact that every website has different review scales. Like, of course, Explosion Network, our website, has a review scale. If you ever look at any of the reviews written for movies or games, you can go over and look at our review scale. And it says, 0 to 3 means this, blah, 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 blah. Our 10 doesn't say this is perfect. Because I think that's stupid. To say 10s to me have never been, this is perfect. Because nothing's perfect. Nothing is ever perfect.
Also, how do you give, a racing game, when you're comparing such a broad spectrum of things where they're not all the same, you're comparing racing games to shooters to puzzle point and clickers. You can't, it's not entirely straightforward to, what's a 10 in a racing game might not be a 10 for a first person shooter.
Neither of you have written for our website yet. Well, review-wise, but we do chuck out scores in review discussions and et cetera, or tweeting such thing. When you're thinking of a score for a number, what goes through your head, Ashley?
What does my gut say?
Yeah, just go with the gut feeling.
Gut feeling.
I feel like that's fine.
Yeah.
I've done that a lot for even stuff I've written reviews for where I'm like, 7. Don't overthink it.
Yeah.
The words speak for themselves. Fucking numbers.
It's not that important, really.
I don't feel like it is either, yeah. In fact, I would have 0 numbers on Explosion Network reviews, except for but I know a lot of people might just click on them and scroll to the bottom to see what the number is.
Yeah.
I feel you can only get rid of the numbers.
Let's be honest, we're just doing
website.
anything for views.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's, basically. Ciaran, how do you go about thinking about the numbers?
I guess I always look at it. Most of the time I'll go off my gut, but I'll go off what the game, if we're talking about game solely or the movie, what that experience was to me as a whole. Like, what did the experience leave me with as a whole package? I'll number it, and then, if the negatives were big enough that they damaged my experience for it, then it deserves to be lower. It's just, I don't know. It's just something I think about.
I have a system that I don't use all the time, but I use when I'm having a struggle to decide between, say, an 8 or an 8.5 or something really close like that. Say my gut's like 8. I'm like, I don't know if I really feel good about that or not. I'll write down a system like, say, I'll score gameplay out of 10. I'll score the presentation out of 10. I'll score the replay value out of 10. Several factors like that. Add it all up and then do a divide by 4 or 5 or whatever it is, and then see what number I get. And if it's close to or about the same as my gut feeling, it just locks it in automatically. Oh, I wrote down an 8. I got an 8.1. It's definitely an 8. That's exactly how to go about it. Because that's how they used to, a lot of the review websites like game trailers and stuff I used to watch, which I've talked about before, used to do the breakdown scale, and then it was an average score of everything.
Do you see with this review being a week before release, Do you see more positives in that, or do you see more negatives in that?
I think it's 100% positive for Sony.
Yep.
Because they've got so much tweets and press and
So much hype.
just so much hype going into it.
Or is that going to be a bad thing? Because everybody's going to be
No,
so
no,
hyped
because
up.
every single person who's a baby, and I read out on the live stream when I was playing Friday the other night, this tweet that I think I've deleted since, but a guy was basically, oh my God, like everyone should boycott buying this game because it's a fucking bullshit that they don't let us consumers and they have to make us read these reviews and get hyped for it. It was the most baby tweet I'd ever seen, but guarantee that guy's out at a midnight release if there is one, or if not 9 a.m. the morning to pick up his copy. And that's what everyone who's complaining about the hype, it's getting to me. Fucking get over it. Like such first world problem.
Yeah.
First world problems, did you just say?
First
You said
world,
first,
world.
but thirst is also a very,
It's a thirsty problem to
They're
have.
thirsting for the game, man. They're thirsting
Yeah.
to have that
And
experience.
my other thing was on the fanboy thing. Stop that. I mean, it's good to be proud if you're a PlayStation fan. You know, I felt proud I own old consoles, but obviously PlayStation first and foremost. So it was a moment of, yes, like it's your sports team, because I do root for PlayStation more than the other ones, admittedly, but I don't get into this whole fanboy war thing. I do think there is a level of you're allowed to be a bit, yeah, good job PlayStation, feel a little bit good about it and whatever else. And then you can, on a business perspective, you can look at it and have conversations about what the fuck is Xbox doing, blah, 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 blah. You can have those sorts of conversations to a degree. It gets to where you're attacking the fans of the company is where the problem is. Because you can say, oh, what's Microsoft doing? They're doing shit. Like they don't have a thing, they don't have any games like this. You're talking about a company. That's fine. It's the moment where you start going on Twitter and attacking every Xbox fan that you see, like you wish you had God of War, that sort of stuff. That's where it's bad. That's where the fanboyism starts.
Yeah.
Not a supporter of that at all. There's a big difference in a line you cross there.
I'm sorry, Ciaran.
No, it's fine. Like it's not, I'll like honestly say that there's a lot of points where Xbox fans kind of deserve it because I'm not going to say we crapped on Sony a lot during the 360 PlayStation 3 era. That was,
Thing.
that was a thing. And so it does need to, like, the cycle does need to stop, though, because when you look at it, what's good, like, it's not just great for Sony that they're doing these exclusives. It's great for the entire industry because more and more people are getting into games because of these movie-like experiences. It's elevating and motivating Microsoft, I hope, to make, more experiences like this or to elevate their own game. These games are most likely going to inspire the next, the next big developer. They're going to inspire the next person to create an amazing gaming franchise. There's a young Hideo Kojima somewhere in the world with wacky scientist thoughts that has been inspired by games that are coming out. Or Neil Druckmann has been, there's a young Neil Druckmann somewhere getting...
Neil Druckmann's still young, mind you.
He is still very young, but there's
He's a
another one
good-looking
of
chap.
his, there's another person like him that's been inspired by these games in the world and is going to make an amazing game because of it. So, what's a win for Sony really is a win for everybody in the long term.
Yeah. Ash, you got anything on this subject before I move on?
No, I think we covered everything.
I was waiting
it
for
looks
Ash
good.
to be like, nah, fuck you, Microsoft fans. Blah, 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 blah.
I mean,
Nintendo for
can you
life.
really be a fan if there's nothing there?
Oh!
Throw in shade. What, Queen?
That was a good one. All right, moving on. Let's talk about PlayStation 5. So Jason Schreier in the last week in a Kotaku article wrote about how he had been speaking to dozens of developers across different studios and about the next line of consoles in general, like what's coming up for the next Xbox, PS5, whatever. Now, we got two people who said they were familiar with Sony's plans for the PS5 and said that it was unlikely to release before 2019. One person said, quote, on a multi-year project, a lot can happen to shift schedules both forward and backwards. Another said, at some point, Sony's probably looked at every possible date. It's all about what they think is the best sweet spot in terms of hardware. So, looking at these two quotes, we know that the PS5 is being talked about to at least some developers. A lot of the other people in the article, it was a lot said that they hadn't heard anything about it. And Jason Schreier wrote that some of the people who said they hadn't even heard about it are first-party Sony studios. He didn't say, obviously, what studios these two people were from that said they had spoken about or seen to some degree plans for the PS5, because obviously you can't. But it is out there. It is being talked about. It is a thing that's at least somewhat on the move. When do we think it's going to come? And what gun do you think Sony's waiting to pull on? Because the quote that stands out to me the most is, plans can move forward or backwards. Because to me that says if Xbox came out at E3 this year and announced their next console, I don't think they will. But for example, if they did announce their next console, that would change Sony's plans for when to release the PS5 drastically. I mean, if Xbox had the conference before PS5, it might even change their friggin' E3 conference type level scenario. So what do we think about this story? When do we think the PS5 is going to come? And do you think any of the games currently in development for Sony are actually being made as PS5 games? And by that I mean Death Stranding, Last of Us 2, etc., etc.
Well, Death Stranding, we've got another 15 years to wait, so it's going to be a PS6 or something.
It's the new Last Guardian.
Yeah, but I'm interested. I don't think it's going to be till 2020. Yeah. I think there's going to be another 2 years, just because I think the life cycles are very different at the minute for consoles, and you've also got to get to a point where you've got to improve or upgrade the hardware that you already have in a console, but also maintain a reasonable price in it.
Yeah.
Like they've got to put another console out without going over, say, for us in Australia, probably like $700-800. Like they can't go over that. So I think they have to, the conversation is more turning towards consoles becoming more like PCs, where more devices are going to be brought out, but more that's just going to, it'll just
we're going to get a PS4 Pro for a 5, and then we're going to get a Xbox S, X, whatever for the next Xbox.
Yeah, like there's always going to be upgrades and changes, and I wouldn't be surprised if a console comes out in the next couple of years that in its initial launch has tiers of hardware that, you would get like the Pro Edition, the Standard Edition. There'd probably be the Standard Edition would be the base, and there'd be like 1 or 2 editions above it when it first releases, and they each have their own price points. And
I feel like that's the easiest way to confuse console players that even find understanding the Pro hard and confusing, like why they would need it, why they wouldn't need it. If at release Sony says there's a PS5 and there's a PS5 Pro, and it's called the Pro, it's not called something else. After the Pro's been circulating for years at this point, that might be easier for the consumer to understand, to go, okay, so it's the PS4 Pro versus the normal one. Okay, I can kind of understand that. If you're at the point where there's 4 to 5 different variations, kind of like the Steam machine, because Alienware did some, a whole bunch of other different companies did some, and they all varied in the graphic capabilities, the RAM that was in them, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And to anyone who was, I remember reading forums and looking at Twitter and stuff when they were coming out, and console players who were looking to buy one of those as a cheap, affordable way to play a bunch of PC-only games were finding it really fucking confusing to which version they needed to get. Because they had to look at specs, and console players who, I'm not trying to make it sound, it's like if you only play console games, you've never owned a PC, you've never had to look at these specs, you don't need to understand them. It doesn't matter. What's in a PS5, what's in a PS4, it doesn't fucking matter to you. It doesn't matter. So when Steam's like, this one's got an AMD whatever 6 secure chip, blah, 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 the fuck does that mean? If Sony came out and did something similar that said this one has a better GPU, blah, 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 that is a bad move.
I don't think they'll ever come out. I don't think they'll ever do that, so to speak. But they will more. I think I would, for me personally, I'd be much happier if they came out with both editions at the same time, just because it semi frustrates me that I'll buy the Xbox or I'll buy the PlayStation, and then a year or 2 years later they come out with a better version where I'm just like.
But then what are they going to call the better version that they have 2-3 years later?
I don't
The
know.
PS5 Pro.
Pro 2.0? I don't know.
Also, the
New and
biggest
improved Pro?
the biggest point with this is, so when the Pro came out, it added 4K support for everything but Blu-rays, but it added 4K support and HDR. So when the PS5 come out, the PS5 is going to have 4K straight up, obviously, and it's going to have HDR straight up. So what is the Pro offering? And if it's only offering a better GPU, that's when you go down a weird road. Because the Pro was, here's a feature. Here's a feature that most people can understand. This lets me play 4K things. Do I have a 4K TV? No. This doesn't matter to me.
But just, more come out with a console that's, might have bigger drive in it, a bigger hard drive, bring out, just even something that's just, this will play the games, quote unquote, better. Like this will, you'll be able to
say
run.
that. You
Not
can
better.
not get on E3 and say the
not
place
better, but like you'll be able to play this at 60 frames a second instead of 30 frames.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Like come out and say,
Or it was like,
that's pretty much.
Or if it was like
You can't say
optimized
it's
to
better.
VR or something like that.
Yeah. You can't say it's better, but flat out the PS4 Pro is better than the standard PS4.
Yes.
Same with the Xbox One X and the Xbox One S.
Yes.
They're better.
I feel like if you come out and you say words like, it'll let a lot of games that only play at locked 30 frames per second will be able to play at 60 frames per second on the PS5 Pro. That's the kind of thing that a lot of people can understand, and a lot of people will go, that doesn't bother me. I'm happy just to buy the normal.
Yeah,
version.
exactly.
Yeah, so there's certain features and stuff.
So I don't think you don't overload console players with it, but come out with an option from the start. I would appreciate that, even though it is stopping Sony from getting money from dumb schmucks like me that's gonna buy another console in a year or two's time.
2-3 years after this, both PlayStation and Xbox could release they've not a Pro but like an X version.
Yeah,
Better GPU and it's straight up, just way more, a lot more expensive, more upgraded GPU, blah 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 blah. The real high quality thing that a lot of people don't need.
Yeah.
So you could have two variations at launch and then do an X, because they're always going to do an upgrade model, because for years it's always been slim, 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 slim. And now I feel like the slim's just going to get replaced with either a Pro if it's not done at launch, or an X variation, because there is a difference. Ash, what do you think about all this?
Yeah, I think probably 2020 is a safe bet. I mean, PlayStation's so far ahead, they're not in any rush to put it out.
I was gonna say I don't see the reason to rush.
Yeah.
Honestly.
It's got to be so hard. You just don't know where hardware is going to go as well.
Are we at the point where developers are saying this hardware is at its limits? Are devs coming out and saying that yet?
No,
because
I
I
don't
don't
think
think
so.
so.
Not
Whereas,
what we're reading about God of War.
pardon?
Is God of War The Last of Us? of
Well,
the generation.
apparently it looks fucking amazing in 4K.
Looks amazing, but that's where they came out with The Last of Us, and Naughty Dog said, "Hey, we're kind of pushing this to its fucking limits, guys. Like, we're getting to a point where we're making stuff where this hardware can't do anything with it." And I don't think we're at that point with this console generation, so I don't see a reason for them to rush into changing and putting in a new console.
It's really hard these days because PS1 to PS2, huge jump in graphics, gameplay, features, whatever else, new genres, basically, first-person shooters.
How do you make that jump again?
Yeah, but yeah, so PS2 to PS3, huge jump in graphics, you go to HD. PS3 to PS4 wasn't as big. PS4 to PS5, I don't feel like there'll be as noticeable changes either. So it's really hard to know when we're at a reaching point if you're not a developer, I feel like. And if you are a developer, you're the only kind of people that are going to be sitting there going, we're kind of pushing this console to its limits. This game's just going to have to go on PC because we're fucked.
Yeah. But I think if Sony's hearing that, they would pull the trigger on a PS5. If they were hearing that. I think they would, instantly put in motion the whatever they need to get it done.
It gets really awkward if The Last of Us 2 comes out on PS4 and then they do a remastered whatever upgrade version like they did
PS5, yeah.
for PS5. That's just that would just be yeah.
With the PS5, do you hope Sony goes with the same route that Microsoft is going, where Microsoft has promised its audience that we're not going to go through a generational change where you're going to lose all your games? Like, we're not going to go through that generational change again. You'll always be able to play your Xbox One games on future hardware.
You hope so. I mean, it's easier now that they're not using that cell processing that they were on the PS3, so technically it should be easier to code or whatever, emulate.
Yeah. I would hope so, but at the same time, it's honestly not something that bothers me. I would be... The meat in the middle for me is you can't play your PS4 discs, but all your downloadable games still work.
Yeah, I think so, because I think we do, even though, people are against it, and countries like Australia where networks are shit, we're going to go more and more to no discs. Like, we're getting there. Like, it's going to get to a point where there's not going to be physical media anymore.
And I say this as someone who buys 90%, or at least all the big games still physically. And if they announce this news, I could see the reaction straight away is, you're pissing off all your people who still buy physical, you're just doing it for the people who buy digital, blah, 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 which would be in their favor because they do make more money.
They make a bigger percentage or whatever.
They make a bigger percentage when they skip EB Games and other places.
Yep.
So it would be in their favor. But at the same time, if they came out, and I wouldn't even look up to see if they was telling the truth, if they said, hey, it was just really hard for us to make the machine, read it like blah, blah, a whole bunch of technical reasons. But to just read it off a download was a lot easier than reading the disc. I'd be like, what do I know? Sure, I believe you.
Yeah, and I think people would complain, but it's not like they would be the first to do it.
No.
Like, PC is a perfect case study of, who the fuck buys physical media for PC anymore? You go into an EB Games,
I know, it's hilarious.
there's you'd be lucky to
10
find
games.
PC discs. Because there are, everybody
It's The Sims, StarCraft,
Yeah.
and
maybe World of Warcraft, maybe?
Yeah,
maybe
World of Warcraft.
Maybe
Some
some
random
World of
thing. I've
Warcraft
seen like
stuff.
Limbo Special Edition on the shelf at maybe at games for ages.
But the PC community has switched over to digital media pretty. I don't know. I can't remember there being an uproar when it started happening, because I think
It just happened. No one got asked. No one was
nobody
like,
got
is this a
asked.
thing
There
we
was
can
no
do?
outroar. It was just, hey everybody, this is Steam. Come buy your stuff from Steam now. And I think people started to get savings from doing that.
yeah,
with
because it
ridiculous-
was financially smart too. It was
Yeah.
worth it financially. Yeah.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see, because it's not that far out. We're in 2018. They're saying you probably won't see it in 2019. Hey, that's only next year. They're saying we probably won't. I would say there's a high chance we hear about it next year and it doesn't get released to 2020. And I think, like I said at the start of all this, that's highly dependent on what Microsoft's doing. And even if we don't hear about it, that's highly depending on the rumor mill for what Microsoft is doing.
Mm-hmm.
And if Sony catches earwind of a very reputable source kind of telling them what they think Microsoft might be doing, that'll push Sony a certain way. But we are in the stage where it's the next couple of years will be interesting to see how the rumor mill swings which way about PS5 and stuff.
Do you think Microsoft's going to do anything soon? Because it doesn't feel like
I don't
long
think
since they
so.
launched the Scorpio or the.
I
One
don't
X.
think that matters, honestly.
I don't think they because I think Microsoft has put themselves on a very different path to what Sony's on. I think Microsoft is slowly moving their Xbox more to be PCs, where I don't see at this point in time I don't see Sony doing that. Microsoft's just turning their consoles into what they already know by just navigating it more towards PCs and just putting out these easy, accessible, small computers that are very straightforward and simple. Their OS is already compatible with Windows 10. Their putting in more stuff like, the Windows 10. If you buy an Xbox game, you get the Windows 10 game for free as well. And Microsoft is already in the pattern to be like, here's just an upgraded version of the console. Here's this. Same ecosystem, kind of, but here's this. Where I don't think Sony's ever going to go onto that path. Path to path. The path of the path. Somebody
All right, another Jason Schreier story from the past week was he was weirdly has found sources that revealed that 2K is working on another Bioshock game. This was weirdly uncovered while writing a story on the studio Hangar 13 and what they've been doing since working on Mafia 3. They found out they were working on trying to work on Mafia 4 and scrapped a whole heaps of ideas. But across the road from where they were working on that, another studio for 2K has been working on a Bioshock game.
At Hangar 12 or Hangar 14?
Hangar, ha. Very good, actually. Very good.
Terrible.
Very good. I appreciate it. So that was an interesting fall. It's been an interesting week for Jason Schreier. But there was an interesting comeuppance of finding that one. A, what would you like from another Bioshock game? And B, because I wasn't a big fan of it, did you actually like Bioshock Infinite?
I've never played a Bioshock game.
Ashley, can you stop? This has been a week. You're escalating your hand, you're politely going to be asked to hand in your notice of resignation
Ash,
from the network.
Would you
Not
kindly
all
play a
nerds.
Bioshock game?
What?
Would you kindly play a Bioshock game?
Please, would you
Maybe.
kindly stream it for me on twitch.tv/Explosion Network?
I'm open to it.
Have you not
Please.
played them for a certain reason,
No,
or just you missed them?
No interest, I guess, at the time.
I'll allow
I
it.
can
Why-
appreciate that people love it and think it's classics, but yeah, just not
I
for
think
me, I guess.
one holds up.
Yeah.
One's good.
Once I've played through one, started last year, whenever the remaster came out.
Last year at some point.
Yeah, last year at some point. No, I loved it. It was fun. I enjoyed it. It's still the same game.
Do you like Infinite?
Its story gets a little out of hand. And I only just found out that there was episodes released after it that I didn't play.
I didn't even finish it. I got so bored.
I was just, this game, I don't know what's going on. This is fucking weird. This plot point at the end, what the F is this?
Yeah, I just YouTubed the end of the plot because I wanted to know what was happening, but
Did you understand the end of the plot?
yeah, no,
Did you
it's
have to
fine. It
watch
made sense to me.
Did you have to watch a YouTube video that was explaining what the hell
No,
happened?
it made sense. I got it, but because I played until towards the end, so I had enough information. It made sense. I was like, all right, cool. But I just found the gameplay repetitive and boring as fuck.
It wasn't that great. It wasn't anything compared to the Bioshock 1 was freaking tense for most of that game. That game was eerie and just...
It also offers you choice because you got the big daddies and the little sisters.
Yep.
A lot of Ash might not know this because a lot of people presume that you have to fight the big daddies whenever you see them. No, big daddies don't bother you, not unless you bother them.
Yeah.
They're just
walking
doing their
around.
thing.
You can just chill them. You can either kill or save the little sisters if you want to kill the big daddy.
The game's a lot easier if you just ignore them all.
Yeah, much easier.
Yeah, but if you start shooting at one, they will start shooting back at you, and they don't go down quite as easy. But of course, you need to kill them all to save our little sisters and get that trophy.
And in my opinion, Bioshock 2 is so underrated.
No, I think I finished Bioshock 2. I finished Bioshock 2 and I never finished Bioshock Infinite, which is interesting to point out because, of course, Bioshock Infinite was the original Ken Levine behind the reins there, and Bioshock 2 was 2K sticking another studio.
Yeah, and I love Bioshock 2. I love that story. Do you think, was it too much change in Infinite? Was going to Columbia, was it too much change?
No, I just think it was a cool world, interesting story, good acting and whatever. The characters were sure, but the gameplay just didn't have as much effort or thought put into it as the first one did. The first one was these small confined places for the most part, and you got your plasmids, and it was very tactical the way you had to play, especially if you was playing on harder difficulties. Infinite was you can fly around on this rail backwards and forwards and shoot people. Cool.
Yeah. even to this day, I'm still feeling the effects of things that Bioshock made me feel like. When I was watching you play Rise of the Tomb Raider, and you, like in the start of that game, you pick up like voice recorded, like, you pick up letters and there's a voice recording that talks about it. But they don't do the one thing that Bioshock does perfectly, which is Bioshock lets you listen to those while you continue
While
playing
you're
the game.
walking. Yeah.
While you're walking around and continue playing, you're still listening.
First game to do it, as far as I'm aware.
Like,
Might not be true, but first
it
that
probably
I
isn't
recall.
true, but it's the first one I remember doing it.
Yeah.
And, the fact that, 10, 11 years later, games are still not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
And I don't listen to their voice audio.
No,
like I
because
wasn't
you
in Tomb
start,
Raider.
and you start, and then you just quit out of it. If Bioshock, you get so much of the story by listening to those voice recordings. Like that, that is one of the game's main motivational, like pushing you through and making you love the world of Rapture more, are those voice recordings.
So what do you want from Bioshock 3?
Bioshock 3?
Big mummies.
No,
Why
they're a
not
thing.
little?
They're
Okay,
already
cool.
a thing. No,
Yeah.
big sisters?
Yeah, Big Sisters.
Yeah.
I want it to kind of go back to that almost like thriller, that horror kind of genre in many ways. Like Bioshock, for me, towards the end, as you got stronger and you had like a billion plasmids and whatever, nothing really was scary. But my God, what are they called? The messed up people with like the rabbit masks.
Creepers or something? I don't know.
Creepy deepies. The creepy deepies, they were scary as all shit at the start of the game. They were just... I got jump
Spoilers
scared.
for the first 10 minutes of Bioshock when you land in the under, you go under the water and you come back up into the thing, and then you hear one like climbing all over your pod, and then
Yep.
you hear screaming off in the distance. You're like,
Yeah, I'm not playing this.
No, you definitely are. You definitely are.
It's not a proper horror game though. It's just a bit
It's
off-putting.
Just off-putting and just things that happen in it. And there's lots of just little touches that you might not even see, or character placements, or just information you can pick up on in the world that I just loved. I just want more of that. I want another story that has that moment like Bioshock 1 does.
So what's the connecting factor to even what is 3 that makes it be worth called Bioshock 3
Does
and
it
not
have to
just random
connect?
new IP?
Does it have to connect though?
Well, yeah, because it's called Bioshock 3.
I
So
still
what
think
is the
as long as
connecting
it's- as
factor?
long
Is
as
it
it's still- As long as it's still
Plasdoid?
set in the same world, they still have the same sort of technology, like Big Daddies, like is it Eden or Adam? No, it's Eve. It's Eve, I think it's called. Whatever that energy is, they could have nods to Rapture in like newspapers and whatever. I think as long as it's another story set in that same kind of world, I'm happy. It's fine. Continue with the, with it all.
With it all. Continue with it all.
Continue with it all. No more wibbly wobbly, timey wimey bullshit.
All right, let's talk about something that I have not played. I don't believe anyone else here has ever played, but it got announced for a HD collection this past week. And see if anyone else is interested, other than me. Shenmue 1 and 2 are getting a HD collection.
I heard it's
You've
not a
lost me.
HD collection.
Oh, well, that's just what we call it.
Yeah, I know, but
Like habit.
why
I
would you
suppose.
not? If you're going to release it, why not upres it and stuff first?
It's all right. Here's what its features are.
Shenmue 3 is not coming out for another 20 years, so you've got
Yeah,
time.
that's the thing. Fully scalable screen resolution. What does that mean exactly? It means that the screen will be fully scalable.
So
But
that it
mo-
works on your 70-inch
4K, yeah. Modern and classic controls, that's good because I'm sure it controls like hot garbage. Overalls to the UI, okay. And the English and Japan dub, whatever you want to go for. What do either of you know about these games? Or was the
Fuck
first
all.
you heard about it when they announced 3 and a bunch of people went crazy?
The
Yep.
first I heard about it was 1 minute and 32 seconds ago.
What?
Whenever the fuck you just started talking about it, that was the first time I heard.
Are you
Oh,
serious?
you've ever
Yeah,
heard of
I-
Shenmue?
I've never heard of Shenmue. I've
You
probably
don't even remember when
seen
they
it.
announced 3 a couple of years ago?
No.
Were you not watching E3?
No, I probably was. It was just
It was
probably
before he
something I
met
didn't-
us and we made him watch E3.
No, it was before I met you and started to care about PlayStation again.
Not to spoil it for you, but Shenmue's not a PlayStation franchise.
Oh,
It's a
Dreamcast
no.
thing.
Dreamcast.
It's a Dreamcast? Well,
Uh-huh.
I do not remember
Shenmue
any
is
of this
one of these
bullshit.
games that I feel like, as someone who hasn't played any of them, but has had a moderate interest just because of its, I don't know if infamy is the right word, but it's known. Like it's one of those games that, well, apart from Ciaran, that I feel like you just know of. It's I would describe it as a game that most people know of, but no one's played. Like if
Accurate.
you've kept up with the gaming world for long enough, or been reading about it or whatever, you would have heard about Shenmue. Because so many people love it, so many people are hardcore about it. And if you watched, I can't remember the dude's name, but there is a
Michael
video.
Huber.
Hey, Michael.
Huber from Easy Allies now.
Yeah. Yes, that one. Yes.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched it, go Google for his reaction to when the
It'll
game
be
was announced.
on Game Trailers E3.
He was on the Game Trailers Live E3 from 2 years ago, whenever it was. Yeah, they're all sitting around the table, and he loses his absolute mind. And people in the comments go like, "Oh, why would you react like that?" I guarantee there were so many people that reacted like that because this franchise has a huge fan base, and it is really crazy because it's the type of franchise that, like Ciaran just reacted, a lot of people were kind of like, "What?
What?
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 What is Shenmue?"
What is this?
But it's a game. I remember first hearing about it actually on Game Trailers because they did a video. As I've mentioned several times, I used to be a huge Game Trailers fan. I used to watch heaps of their stuff. And they did a video once years back about the top games that need sequels. And on the list was Half-Life 3, of course, and Shenmue 3 was also one of the games mentioned. And this is the first time I remember hearing about it, like 10 years ago or whenever it was. And at the time, they were like, rumors are circulating that they might be making a sequel. Eventually, it's going to happen. So it's known for its story, and it's an open world game with brawl. It's like to me, even as someone who's never played it, it reminds me of Yakuza or something like that because it implements brawler gameplay. So it's a lot of hand to hand fisticuff stuff with a deep story, a lot of mini game stuff, social life type shit, but not like Persona level. Well, maybe the new one would have Persona level stuff, but it's a lot of social life stuff. And then it was renowned at the time for having a day-night cycle and all these types of things that aren't that big of a deal now. But I think QTEs, it was one of the first games, or if not the first, or it was one of the very early games that implemented QuickTime events in its action. But I think it's most famous just for its story and the people love the lore and whatever. And then they got the second one, and it was the kind of thing where everyone's been waiting on the third one to this franchise. When they announced the third one at the PlayStation conference, I was like, that's cool. But I'm not getting a direct... Like, if you want me to play this, you need to get the first two onto a current gen console somewhere. Because I'm not buying a Dreamcast or it was the first one was later put out on,
Dreamcast, and it looks like Xbox as well.
yeah, it was brought out like Xbox or something later.
Yeah.
But that doesn't help me. You need to put them out on the current console. They announced it at Sega had an event. I don't remember what it was even for. Like Sega was just like having an event because Sega does whatever they want apparently this past week, and they announced it there. A lot of people went crazy for it. I didn't go crazy, but I went, that's cool. I'm personally going to try. Depends when this actually drops and what else is coming out at the time. But I would like to attempt to play this game, if not just for the fact of how long I've known about it, how famous I know the property is. I just feel like I'm obligated to at least give it a go. Is anyone else interested at all in checking this out? Ciaran's shaking his head. Ash?
No, thank you.
No, I'll wait and see.
Wait and see?
Wait and see.
I think it was only $30 as well. However that works out.
It's like
Yeah.
$40, $50 or something.
Yeah, so I don't feel like
$40
it's...
dues.
And this was bad, but I feel like I owe it. To...
You owe it?
I will
Well,
watch
just-
you stream it on Explosion.
Yeah, you can stream it. Check
Yeah.
out Dylan streaming on Explosion Network unless for some reason they put out some crazy you can't stream this game.
Don't want to spoil the nearly 10-year-old story of Shenmue
Yeah.
1.
Don't wanna spoil
18-year-old
that.
story.
18-year-old story, Jesus Christ. Oh, that's right, yeah, 99 or what? Is
Yeah.
it 99? Yeah. Dear. Yep. Well, there you go. Let's move on. Hashtag every trophy counts. I only have one platinum to tell you all about.
Tell y'all about.
Tell you all about.
Yeah.
And that was the Adventure Pals Platinum, which I picked up finally when they patched the game because the platinum was unobtainable for a while. But they did patch it within a week. They sent out the patch. It got a lot faster to the Steam version because PC patches take like hot 2 seconds to get.
2 seconds. It's just like change
to get it through.
Over.
Well, there's
Copy pasta.
pluses and negatives. Sony at least has the patch go through some system or whatever. Xbox does as well. It's just the PC system seems to take forever. But I got the Adventure Pals Platinum. I talked about this game a little bit last week. It is really, really fun. I had a great time playing it. I got levels got a little bit tedious towards the end of it. But overall, it's if you like Adventure Time or any of those kind of cartoons, then this is a fun game to play and also a not very easy platinum. There's a bunch of collectibles you have to find. I think I only had to replay 1 or 2 levels to go back to look for one, and every other collectible I just found as I was playing through it.
Nice.
And that there's challenge maps, but they're easy. If you play it in co-op as well, whoever gets the trophy, you get it. So if you go around to a friend's place and log into your account and they're about to pop all the trophies, just log in and you'll pop them all. 10 out of 10.
Did you? I've got a question to ask you, Dylan, about the cheat. No, I don't know if it's cheating. Well, it kind of is. It's super is. So I read an article the other day about how you can get the Jack 2 trophy in like 5 minutes.
Do you mean the platinum or a trophy?
No, the platinum. Sorry, you can get the platinum trophy in 5 minutes.
5 minutes. That sounds like a hack because that game's not
because
5
you
minutes.
can access the developer console in the game.
Okay, yeah, that's too far for even me.
That's too far for even you, because apparently, you can access like the level select and everything from the dev, and just skip to the last boss, and it pops everything for you.
No. Let's have a vote,
Okay.
Ash.
No, I don't understand what you just said, but no.
So apparently in Jack 2, there's a way you can access the developer code
console so
which is
that
what they
you
use
can
in like
just,
demo
like-
mode and stuff.
So you can just skip to the last boss, and the moment you get to the last boss, you pop all of the story-based trophies, and then you pretty much do everything else through the developer menu as well.
Okay. That sounds like cheating.
Yeah, that's definitely cheating. There's a big difference between that and me paying $3 for a really shitty game. Like I'm not cheating in the game. The game's just shitty and gives me a platinum. There's a difference.
There's some ethics. Ethics of platinum
difference.
hunting.
Yeah, there's a big difference. It's I'm not going to use no dev access in any fucking game to cheat. That's too far. That's some sad shit. I remember back in the day, there was a PS3 game. It was a race car one. I can't remember which one that you could do the exact same thing in. And I think Greg Miller, when they were doing the IGN big trophy war thing, said he actually cheated in it, and he felt so bad, but he did it because I was doing that IGN trophy war at the time. But you could do something similar, like download someone else's save or something off the internet, put on a USB stick, and just put it in. It'll pop all the trophies.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Which doesn't work in games normally, but this one, for whatever reason, if you left it unpatched, you just do it. I'm all for exploiting bugs and stuff to make stuff easier a little bit, you know. Oh, if you stand in this corner on this crate, the boss won't be able to hit you. Whatever. Dude, go for gold. You still got to play through every level on hard up till that point, or you know, that kind of example. That's fine. I only have one trophy list this week because it's not much. Revelry has popped a total of 2 more times, which means you'll be able to get the game a Platinum Vita, PS3, and you get the PS3 copy for free if you only own the Vita version. And then another version popped, which is presumably for the physical copy. So that means you'll be able to get 3 copies of the Platinum for Revelry. And Revelry is a fun game with a very easy Platinum.
The PS4 list was confirmed on our Twitter. We got tweeted out.
Yeah. PS4, yeah. I said PS3. I meant PS4. So PS4 and Vita.
Separate cross-buy.
Separate.
Confirmed.
Cross-buy. Free.
Shout out to them for tweeting at us and insulting Dylan.
That's fine. I gave their game 7.5. They still talk to me.
Yeah.
Okay, good job, guys. Just goes to show that you can give there's ethical standards, you know? Like,
Are you surprised the God of War list hasn't popped yet?
I keep looking. I honestly keep looking. I've refreshed just before we started recording. But here's the thing. I want to look briefly over it to just, get some idea. I feel like there's just going to be a bunch of spoilers, though.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's gonna be. I can't see it being that hard a list, right?
No, it will, because have you read about the hardest game mode?
No, well, okay. Maybe there's not a trophy connected to the hardest game mode.
I highly doubt it. That's all I'm going to look for to decide if I want to platinum it or not. I just want to scan, ignore everything. If there's a trophy for beating the game on the hardest difficulty, I'm not going to platinum it, because the hardest difficulty sounds really hard.
What's the hardest difficulty?
I think your health doesn't regenerate. You don't find the fucking items. Like, checkpoints are minimalist. Enemies are like 4 times stronger. Some ridiculous.
Okay. Uncharted, like.
Yeah, but see, I don't platinum any of the Uncharted either because, I got the Uncharted 4 or 1 because that was easier than the others, I thought. But I haven't platinum 1, 2, or 3 because I find playing those games on crushing ruins the game.
Yeah, it's just frustrating because
Because you lose the pace of the action. You just get spammed with grenades. You get die over and over. Those games are action movies that you're playing. I tell people to play them on casual. I don't fuck care. I play them on normal just because. But if I told anyone I've ever suggested those games to, just play them on casual. You're there for the story.
play them let Nathan Drake be the badass that he is.
Yeah, and that's the funnest way to play those games.
Yeah,
to me,
that's fair.
That's my opinion.
That's fair. I would agree.
Take that. All right, wrapping up.
An elitist, and he's
shaking his head. No, I play all the games. I'm veteran.
No,
I'm
very far from the truth.
Ash, where can people follow you?
You can follow me on Twitter at Ashley Hobley, ASHLEYHOBLEY. It's a thing.
Ciaran, where can people follow you?
You can find me at YARINGO. It's gonna be a thing. No, it's not. It's fucking terrible.
That is most definitely
it's at
not
your boy
a
Ringo.
thing.
Oh no, I didn't. I missed the boy bit.
Yeah, that's what
I just spelled at Yoringo.
Let's see who's at Yoringo.
Yeah,
At
so who's at
Yoringo, you
Yoringo?
just got some extra followers. Probably not. But at your boy Ringo, there's a boy in there.
You can follow me on Twitter at Vivaladil, VIVALADIL. You can follow this show at Platt Podcast, where if the God of War trophy list has gone up by tomorrow morning or after we finish watching this, I've probably tweeted out and gone, fuck this list, or something along those lines. Don't forget to rate the show on iTunes if you can. 5 stars is the only way I'll accept it. And if not, Kratos will come hunt for you as you sleep. If you can't do iTunes, word of mouth, second best option. Tell a friend. They're the best kind of people. Don't forget to go over to explosionnetwork.com where we have all the other shows, reviews for Reverie and other things that I've mentioned beforehand. I was thinking about writing Adventure Pals review also because I quite like that game. I'd like to be like, hey, this game's great fun. But I've got other things to do. Twitter for the Explosion Network, of which this podcast comes from, is at ExplosionPod. So make sure to follow that Twitter account. Also, Platt. And until next week, may all your trophies be platinums and gold.
Ad read, April 2018, take 5. Hey listener, if you're not listening to the Tales of Theldin yet, you should be. It's a D&D audio drama, more easily described as D&D Light. The focus is telling a fun story and cutting out too much of the fiddly D&D details that could confuse or bore the uninformed. It features Ciaran, Dylan, Ash and Tom, and you'll be in for some laughs and good adventure. Give the first episode a listen today and see if it's for you. Explosion Network Bulletin Board. Pleasure Explosion is now Thursdays at 12 PM Australian Eastern Standard Time. Thank God daylight's over. With Tom hosting the free-flowing conversation, and make sure you check out if you found the old format too much. Reacts and review discussions officially lift off on Twitch, so make sure you follow our Twitter at ExplosionPod and twitch.tv/ExplosionNetwork to keep up when they are live. You'll also find them at bit.ly/ExplosionNetwork on our YouTube 24 hours later.
Your Ringo is a guy called Ringo Hingelfeld.
Oh, what a surname!
He hasn't tweeted since the 3rd of June 2013.
Son of a bitch.
And he only tweeted about a game called Rock the Vegas on Android, which looks like a casino simulation builder thing. It doesn't look good.